Here we are. We're going to go to question number 1, which is, I've had the opportunity to see many gymnastic programs and their related conditioning programs in action. Why is it that many programs fail miserably when it comes to producing quality results? Well, this is a kind of a complex question. There are many components that go into a gymnastics program. They have to be carefully planned, implemented, monitored to ensure success. Failure in any one of these categories can lead to failure in the results or less than satisfying results. To answer this question would require an evaluation of all the components, the training efficiency, the way your gym is set up, coaching education, the staff communication, your event requirements, sports psychology, nutrition, and of course the conditioning program. Basically, the scope of this presentation will focus on the conditioning program and the related reasons for the success or failure. But in all actuality, the answer for any failure in any aspect of a program is pretty universal. Basically, it comes down to coaches. So the failure of most conditioning programs basically falls in the lap of the individual coaches. And that's twofold. There's 2 reasons for that. One is a lack of knowledge. By the fact that you guys are sitting here and listening to this webinar, obviously you're seeking knowledge, so you're definitely on the right track there. But then there's the harder aspect of a conditioning program, and that's the willingness to implement the demands for quality on a daily basis. By lack of knowledge, I'll go back to the lack of knowledge thing. Knowledge is easy to obtain. There are a lot of individual resources that you can go out and obtain knowledge. The harder thing is implementing that knowledge. One of the biggest problems, or some of the problems related to this conditioning, or that causes failure in the conditioning programs, is basically some coaches just feel like conditioning is an afterthought. There's no plan, there's no structure, there's no rhyme or reason, there's no content. They just throw out some exercises and expect results. A lot of college coaches, and I see some on the list out there, I see Sam Morielli and a few others listed on our guest list. They go to a lot of different programs, and I try to pick their brain as to what they see when they go out to these individual programs. And they say the same thing. They just see a lack of commitment on the part of coaches to deliver results. A lot of coaches just have unsupervised rotations or circuits. They just set the kids out there, go do the exercises, and this is definitely a major flaw in any program. Conditioning rotations require as much, if not more, hands-on attention than any other event. It has to be considered that 5th event of training. Some coaches think it's not as glorious teaching a push-up or a pull-up as it is a kip or a back handspring or whatever. And so many times the more experienced coaches pawn off conditioning rotations to the less experienced. And I think this is also a little bit of a mistake and leads to some failure. Conditioning rotations are oftentimes used for a break, for coaches to go to talk to parents, or do their coffee break or whatever. That sends the message to the athlete that conditioning is not important. And if that's the underlying feeling or philosophy of your program, you're definitely doomed for failure. There's this underlying thing also that coaches are a little gun-shy about making kids work harder than they actually want to. Conditioning is work. In order to get good at it, to get stronger, it requires effort. And if the coach is not willing to push kids beyond their perceived standards or their perceived limitations, they're not going to get the results that the program needs to have. And they succumb to a kid crying. The first time a kid cries, well, they back off. Or the first time they get a complaining parent, they back off. And if you have a standard, you have to stick to it. You have to stick to your guns. A lot of times you'll lose kids over your conditioning program. But if it's what you want and it's the standard that you've established, you're going to have to stick to those guns. Another major problem and leads to failure is the inconsistent expectations. One day we work hard, the next day we have fun and games. One day we allow bent legs, the next day we require straight legs. This sends that mixed message to the athletes and establishes kind of a just haphazard expectation out there and a haphazard standard. You need to be consistent and across the board from all levels, from top to bottom in your program, as to what you expect and accept. I've always said that athletes will always give you what you expect, but more importantly, what you accept out of them. So I guess the bottom line to question number one, what's the biggest cause of failure in gymnastics programs? Basically, the biggest cause of failure is coaches refusing to look in the mirror, refusing to put the effort in. If they're not willing to work at it, the kids they're not going to work at it. Hi folks, John Geddert here. I hope you got some great value from this video. I've got a few more Q&A videos I'd like to share with you, and you can grab those right now by simply clicking on the link below. Go ahead, click on the link below in the description box so that you can get your hands on these excellent Q&A videos to help you set up your gymnastics program for success. Now, I've answered questions from coaches like you from all around the world who are struggling to put in place a conditioning program that works. So go ahead, click on the link below to get the next set of videos in this gymnastics conditioning series. I hope you enjoy them.